Guys, everybody loves money. It makes the world go round. And if you have enough of it, you can buy something we can't get enough of and that we lose every day. Time. Our guest on the podcast today is a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and we're going to be talking and deep diving on how you can make enough money to buy back your time. My name is Christian Bandera. Welcome to the Escape Podcast. And across from me is Mr. Vinny Dos Santos, a.k.a. Mr. Shadowban.
Yeah, bro.
What's up, man?
We live for getting Shadowban now.
We live for it. Hey, since last time I was dressed up pretty nicely, but you, my friend,
I'm sorry, I had to do it.
you had to outdo me this time.
last time, and I had to outdo you this time.
You look like Morpheus now.
But we're still getting outdone by our guest. Though,
Exactly.
So.
I mean, wait, guys, until you see our guest. I mean, he's outdoing us with this one. So, Mr. Dos Santos, do you want to introduce our guest this evening?
Yeah, of course. So it's interesting how I ran into him. More on the just social media, really. Just ran into him on social media, followed by my pastor. Shout out, Pastor Matt. And just going through his page, man, I was like, man, this guy is well put together. He's clearly got a lot going on. So it'd be awesome to pick his brain here on the podcast. So, I mean, little to no introduction, Mr. Timothy Penso here.
Yeah,
How are you, man?
I'm doing excellent, man. If I were doing any better, I think I'd have a whole marching band behind me. But I appreciate you guys having me on here and those nice things. But it's funny. The thing about Instagram, it's like it looks like, right? Looks put together. But we're about to find out by the end of this episode if it's authentic or not, right?
Hey, man. I mean, we were just talking about watches and the price of the watch. I mean, that seems pretty put together to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Depends on what perspective I get.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I know a lot of people with a lot of money, but they got a big bank account balance, but if you look at their relationship balance, it's
100%
negative.
100%. And I think you have the most important thing since we talked about Matt and you know how you talk about finding Jesus and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world, but when you have that, I mean, you have everything.
Oh yeah, I mean that was me before I started my relationship with God. I mean, at that time I was making $35,000 a month, penthouse kind of spot and top floor to ceiling windows, sick apartment, and just being an awful person. my life sucked then.
Right.
Right.
Well, so let's dig deep into that then a little bit. Like let's get a little bit of like
we starting off hot.
Yeah,
hot.
Let's get a little bit of your backstory, kind of like how you started, where you grew up, things like that, and then kind of like what you did, what you do now, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm 29. I'm gonna be 30 in March. I got 5 brothers. I'm Dominican and Cuban, but it's funny. We're in the identify culture these days. So I guess I identify as Italian because my stepfather raised me. He's Italian. So I that's the culture I resonate with the easiest. And then my dad, my biological father, my grandfather was from Jamaica. My real father, or biological dad, he's Jamaican and Dutch. So I have a very mixed background. I'm from the Bronx, New York. So growing up, it was just like I could hang out with anybody. I could chill with the quote unquote gangsters. I could chill with the Italians. I could chill with the country folks, and it kind of made me fluid like water, as far as just like I could just move kind of with anybody because I didn't have a choice to, or I would have been an outcast. But I was in the Bronx, New York. My biological father passed away when I was 8 from a suicide, and that obviously just rocked me as a kid. We grow up looking at our dads. My dad was fit, strong. He was a business guy. And, when he died, my mom told me it was a car accident, so I didn't find out until I was like 16. She got pissed off at me one day. And, sorry, Mom, if you hear the podcast, but I'm going to keep it real. But she was just like, she just got mad at me, and she's like, "Yo, why don't you go kill yourself like your father?" And I was like,
"That's deep."
And I was like, "Oh, that's how he died."
Wow.
And I knew things didn't add up. Certain things. They said he was in a car accident, but when you're a kid, I don't know if you guys have kids, but sometimes we think kids are not dumber than their age, but they're more aware than we may think. And I was like, "Oh, you said he died in a car accident. The cars look fine."
Where's the car?
The cars look fine. The cars look fine, right? But I ain't gonna ask. I'm just sad my dad's gone. But anyways, so I lived with her and my stepdad Vinny. He just died less than 2 months ago. He was the best guy ever, Italian guy from the Bronx. When he met my mom, she already had 2 twin boys from a different baby daddy, and then she had me from a different baby daddy, and then we met this guy Vinny, and Vinny just like, we called him dad from the jump.
He must have been a solid dude.
Dude, great old school Italian dude from the Bronx, New York, just street dude but classy dude, you know, and just a good man, and we called him dad, and he showed us how to change brakes, or you know, he kept us out of trouble. I mean, you look at the data. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if you grow up in a household without a father, I mean, the chances of you ended up in prison are substantially higher. You know, because if you growing up, if there's a man in the household, you're scared. I mean, by the age of 12, 13 years old, you're already physically strong enough as a man to overpower your mother. Right? I mean, CNN won't like to hear that, but
right, yeah.
you know, but that's just the data.
Yeah.
You know, so but that's kind of the that's, you know, long story short, going from there at 16, I moved out of my mom's house because I obviously couldn't get along with her, and my stepdad was low key scared of her too. You know, Dominican Brooklyn woman, she was a gangster. So, and but you know, I always say if you knew better, you'd do better. She's a great woman, but she had a rough life. You know, my twin brother's dad put a hit on her on a young age, tried to kill her.
Damn.
She was shot, and you know, that's why we moved out of the city, moved upstate. And then I moved in with my wrestling coach. I became a wrestler. He's like, "Hey, you can live with me. You're gonna wrestle 24/7." So that's what I did. I wrestled, and that sport alone taught me 80% of what I know in business. You know, because everybody knows when the other guy is stronger than you, faster than you, outworked you, put in more time than you. And when I graduated high school, I was like, I'm gonna go to the FBI. So I did a 10-page report on their career, and the director, his max salary at that time was $160,000 a year. $160K a year, the director of the FBI. And they have the highest suicide rate and divorce rate.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like the military.
So the amount, why? From like a ton of work, stress?
Yeah, just stress.
That seems very underpaid.
Yeah, I was like for $2 million, sure, you can get a therapist. You know, you can get all the help in the world.
Right.
DOD is always going to be underpaid, especially when it's like low. But even at high, that's kind of surprising. I'm not going to lie to you.
That is surprising.
Because like that's basically like, you know.
But that was at the
Colonel.
time, or is this also still kind of current?
I haven't cared to look
Yeah.
these days. I mean, it used to be a cool thing to be in the FBI. These days, it's just you know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's just trust is at an all-time low with every organized government situation right now, right? So, but I ended up dropping out of college like 2 months after that, and I was going to school full time, in college full time. I was super stressed out all the time. And then I just started working 7 days a week, retail. And then it's funny, you introduced me as a real estate investor, but like I've made, a lot of people don't know this, but I've made a lot of my money in insurance. I have a small insurance company, and we got like 83 agents submitted business this past year. We're, you know, like probably like, I don't know, we got people in Colorado. We're all over the, you know, east to west coast. But that's where I made a lot of my money, but I made a lot of my wealth in real estate. And there's a difference there, right? You have cash flow and then you have your equity. And we could tap into that for sure. But yeah, and then I just ended up in Boston. I was at a leadership conference in Texas. I met this chick that I started dating. She was from Everett. Shout out to her. But no, she was cool. She's an XXX, you know how that goes. But I was very grateful for her because she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. When I moved out here, I was really scared, you know, packed up my whole car and just drove out here. I had an interview with an insurance company, and they were just like, hey, you know, you can't do business in New York. We're not in that state. It's the only state we're not in. But, you know, there's a great opportunity in Massachusetts. There's nobody there. And I'm like, well, that's freaking scary. There's nobody there. Like, who's going to teach me? Who's going to train me? I'm calling Worcester at the time. I'm like, hey, I'm calling about your mortgage over in Worcester County. And they're like, it's Worcester. And I'm like, losing trust on the phone. This is a hard time, you know, and that was 7 years ago. And I was $60,000 in debt at the time. I was 22, scared for my life, and just grinded my way out of it, you know. And that's how I ended up in this seat right here.
Wow.
So at that time you were working for an insurance company. What happened with that switch to where you own your own now?
So technically, so in insurance, a lot of people don't know this. And insurance, first of all, just for everybody listening in, insurance is the number one industry in the world where you could become a millionaire. It's a fact. Financial services, right? It is 100% commission though, right? So I started off, I was not a W-2, I was a 1099 technically, right? So you're an independent contractor and 100% commission sales. And I always knew that life insurance was a $1 trillion industry, which there's not a lot of those. And just to give perspective, I mean, people don't know this, but 1 million seconds, I believe, is around, I'd have to look it up, but I remember it's around like 10 or 11 days or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
A billion seconds is like
30-something years.
Yes, and then 1 trillion is like 30,000. It's crazy. Just that's the perspective, and just for like paraphrasing it, I don't know the exact number, but that's around what the difference is, right? So it goes from like 10 to 14 days to like 20 to 30 years, then it goes to 30,000. That's the difference. Trillion with a T.
Ridiculous.
Right? So I knew that's the industry I wanted to be in. But to your point is the company that I linked up with, they were like, I was already licensed when I interviewed with them, right? So I had some experience at a company called, it was a Torchmark company. Most of it used to be owned by Buffett, and I worked there, and it was just a toxic culture. I'm talking like they were doing like coke. That's where I got introduced to cocaine. I got introduced to all sorts of stuff there. I remember my manager busting out some lines and being like, "This is what you do when you start making six figures." And I was 20 years old.
Sounds like Wolf of Wall Street or something.
Yeah, sounds like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Well, we never did stuff in the office, to be clear.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking this is like in the office.
Well. Like, listen, I'll keep it a buck. Like, I don't care. I'm an open book. I haven't touched that stuff. I put that stuff behind me. But that at that company, like it was. I'm not gonna say at that company, but at the individual office that I was at, I'm not gonna say. But that's just what was going on.
Wow.
Right. And I wound up getting out of there because it was just toxic culture. I was 20 years old. I was working every day. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I wasn't taking care of my health at the time. My manager at the time was cheating on his wife. I'd see her in the office. She'd be like, "Hey, how was your night with so and so?" And I'd have to be like, "Oh, it was good." And I just didn't like the way it made me feel at night when I went to bed. I was making good money, but it cost too much. So that's when I left and I came to Boston, and I interviewed with this guy. Shout out to my homie Ayers Newsom. He put me in the game for real. Like, showed me how to do things the right way. Has an amazing relationship with his wife. Showed me how to treat a woman. And so he says, "Hey man, like you can come sell insurance here, and then what's neat about our company is we will give you a full ownership contract where you get the rights to your business and you become a franchise owner." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like, because I already knew you can make good money selling insurance, but I knew that you can make a fortune showing people how to make insurance, just like any business, right? Even as anything, give me any example of, it's universal, right? Say if you're a photographer, videographer, you get one camera, you're the technician, you're taking shots, you're charging $250 an hour. Next thing you know, you get another camera, you hire somebody, you're charging $250 an hour, but you're paying that person $125 and you're getting $120 off the top. That's business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Anything, right? So same thing. It's the same thing in the insurance industry, and that's what I started doing right away. I posted some ads on Craigslist, and I would just interview people, and I'd be like, "Listen, we're in the ground floor, but I'm building a skyscraper, and if you want to be a part of the ground floor, now's the time to get it." And I just kept having that conversation over and over and over and over again, and the next thing you know, I had the rights to my own business. I got my ownership contract. My first year out here in Massachusetts, I made 170. My second year, 280. My third year, 480, and I just haven't stopped since.
Wow.
800,000, right? 170.
170, 280 to 480, and I just said I haven't stopped since. Wow. And then, if you want to unpack some more numbers in detail, we definitely can.
Oh, dude,
what were you making before in that toxic environment before you came here?
I made 70,000 my first year, and then I made exactly 98,000 from January to my last date with them, which was like September 26th. I took the month off in October, November to December. I started with the new company in that year. I made like a couple G's, probably like 103 if you counted it. It was 2 different tax 1099s that they sent me. So
Gotcha.
What year was it that you came over?
2016 of like November.
Okay. And then how'd you get into real estate?
So that year that I made 480, it was at the tail end of the 280 year in October. I bought my first property, closed October 26th on Canal Street in Salem.
Oh shit, yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah. I winded up I paid $470 for that. It was 3.5% down. I put like 18 G's down or whatever it was, or I needed like 25 or 30 grand in the account. And and then I rented it out. Like it was $2,000 each floor. Mortgage was cash flowing me like a G a month. Next thing you know, in 18 months, I got my down payment back. All these dots connected in my head. Right, and the game is different now. You can't go put 3.5% down in Salem right now and expect a cash flow.
Yeah, no.
Right, but like there's different games to play, and we could tap into that. But
yeah, I would love to tap into that definitely later on in the podcast. So now that you've gone into real estate and you have your own insurance company, how'd you build it up to where it is now? So you say you have 80 plus employees?
So they're all, well, not all of them. Out of the 80, so we had 83 agents submit business this year. Right, submit a piece of business on a family to help put some protection in place. For viewers listening, basically, hey, you pass away, X amount of dollars is going to be left behind to whoever your beneficiary is, right? Because when we all pass away, there's a bill that someone's going to have to pay, right, definitely. To put us in the ground or whatever you plan on doing, right, what have you. But yeah, 83 agents submitted business. On average, we probably have on a monthly basis. We probably have between 25 to 35 submit business, and then on payroll, I got shout out to my director of operations, Gabby Province. Like she's awesome. Like she put in the calendar to come here to this podcast. She put the address in. She goes Sunday 3:00. Text me this morning. She goes, hey, have fun on your podcast. You're gonna kill it. Like that's so now I have about 3 or 4 of situations like her in my life, which is great because that's just really where you get time back when you have sets of hands on payroll.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with the intro. You're buying back your time.
100%.
Exactly. Now, oh boy, this is gonna be a fun one because you're in insurance, and there's someone who I kind of watch every once in a while because he has some good advice, believe it or not, when it comes to debt. Dave Ramsey.
Oh. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
Dave Ramsey. Like, I don't agree with him on a lot of things when it comes to like paying off your house and stuff like that. However, like credit card debt, yeah, you shouldn't be having any of that. What is your take on Dave Ramsey when it comes to whole life insurance?
Well, you mind if I just tell you what I think about Dave Ramsey?
Sure, go ahead.
I think he's great. I think he's great for the middle class. I think he's great for the middle class. I think at the end of the day, the world, I don't look down on nobody. We all have to do a job. There's some people that have to swing a hammer, right? If it wasn't for the people who swing a hammer, we'd be outside right now in the grass doing this. Right. And the audio quality would be terrible because we got trucks driving by.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I'm grateful for everybody's position. Right? The person at McDonald's, actually, I don't mess with the people at McDonald's, right? Because that food's terrible, right? And we can circle back to that at another time, maybe for another episode. But Dave Ramsey, he's great advice. Teachers, right? Like my wrestling coach, one of the most impactful, most influential person in my life. He's a teacher. He's not money motivated. He follows a little bit of Dave Ramsey's principles. That's great for him. Some of his other stuff is just a little bit of ridiculous stuff. Like he makes absolute statements when not everybody in the United States or in the world is in the middle class or plans on staying there. Right?
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does, for sure.
Now, for whole life, the thing is, Dave likes to give this advice, but he lives in a $10 million house in Nashville, and he gets endorsed by Term Insurance Company. Buy term, invest the rest. He's getting paid to say that. So, and people pay attention to what they pay for, so he's bought.
He sold his soul, basically.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's deep coming from a man of God.
Of course.
Disclaimer, you know what? It's funny. Like now, that's what I've heard. That is not like, I don't want to be a hypocrite here because you just saw what just happened with Grant Cardone. He just sued somebody because they were running their mouths on a podcast. Not that I'm getting scared of getting sued. Been sued before, but my point around that is what I've heard. Right now,
Yeah.
do I know if that's a fact?
Right.
Absolutely, no, I don't. But when he says the things he says, and again, it's an absolute statement. Not everybody fits in that box.
Yeah.
Not everybody fits in the box. Oh, buy term, invest the rest. Well, that's a very emotional, absolute statement. You don't know who your viewer is that's viewing your what you're saying right now.
Yeah. So you would. So I'm guessing you would vote for using whole life as an infinite bank.
Okay. So yeah, participating whole life, infinite banking. Now we do a lot of that. At our company, but I'm just be straight up with you. That is something that I didn't come up in the game soliciting a lot. That is something that I've honestly learned in the last couple years. But there's some concepts there that is very similar to real estate and taking loans out of your policy. Like you could buy a property. It could appreciate $500,000. If you sell that, you're going to get taxed on that $500,000. But if I take a loan out, right, and like full transparency, that's how I bought the Ferrari in the first place, right? So it's like you take a loan out against that. I didn't have to pay taxes on that.
And the interest rate could be, could help pay off that interest rate of the asset that you just bought.
Yeah, see, Dave Ramsey would have told me, Tim, what are you doing? Yada yada yada. He would have said, buy it cash. And it's like, and I'm like, that's stupid. I think buying cash saving money and buying things cash, I think is not a good idea. And that's an absolute statement. Not a good idea depending on your situation.
Yeah.
If people were educated more on interest rates and leveraging money, the economy would be way healthier.
Gotcha. So like maybe if they're in the lower class, they would buy cash, but maybe at the 1% level, they wouldn't.
Well, so can you clarify that? 1% wouldn't what?
Like 1%, you're making like, $250,000 a year, $1 million a year, that kind of things. Maybe you wouldn't buy it cash.
Well, I don't think you should buy anything, a lot of things cash.
Okay.
A lot of, I think, for example, even, right. So my wrestling coach, I remember when I told him, right, he's a teacher, love the guy to death, right? He just has a different philosophy, about money. One thing that really messes me up is and this isn't right what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
What I make lending money is more than what teachers make by getting up and going to work, which is just messed up. It's just messed up. Like that it doesn't sit well with me. I receive the benefits of doing those things, but it goes back to the principles of buying things cash and knowing the difference of when and when not to. So back to your point, though, I just wanted to say that first, just to give perspective here, is when he told me to buy the car cash, right? So now that was $388,000, right? Let's just call it 400 for simple numbers. I buy it cash. I know the way I look at money is I have a standard for money. If you give me 400 grand, I know that I could bring you back about 20%. Let's be a little bit more conservative. 15%. Minimum, bare minimum 10%. So I know for a fact you give me 400 G's, I could bring you back 40 G's a year. Now, if I buy that car cash, what did I just lose a year?
400,000.
No, what did I lose a year?
Oh, a year. Oh, gotcha. 40 G's.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
40 G's.
Yeah.
I lost 40 G's a year by buying that car cash.
Yep.
Right? People don't look at that. Because and it's just a competence gap.
Gotcha.
Right? Does that make sense?
It
You want me
does.
to walk
It
that
does.
out a
Yeah,
little more?
Yeah.
Okay, right? So what I did was I put down 100,000.
Yep.
Put down 100,000. I financed it, and one of my properties, I get the property I did it on. It ballpark pays me about $9,000 a month. Right? The mortgage on that building is around $5,000.
Yep.
So I'm cash flowing $4,000. Right? Most of the building is Section 8 income, so it's guaranteed from the government. So I put the 100 down. The Ferrari payment was $3,500 a month. Right?
Yep.
The car's paying for itself. And now I still got 300 G's left over to play with.
Yes.
So now I got 300 G's. Now 20% of that is what? Or let's just call it 15%. That's 40. I know I messed up earlier too. On we did it off of 10% though.
Yeah,
we did it off of
10%.
Yep.
Now let's keep it at 10% then.
30
The 300 grand, 30 G's a year.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
definitely, 100%.
So, just didn't make sense to me.
No, for sure, 100%. But like you said, everyone's a little bit different with their
Right.
scenario, their situations, and their knowledge as well.
Right.
They might not think it like that, like you do.
Right. Right, because now I got the building still cash flowing, paying the payment, and I still got 300 grand that I could turn into, and my standard at that time was 20%. It doesn't even really make that sense if it was 10%, right? So 300 grand, I was making 60 on that money,
Yeah.
right? And that's actually what I did. I lent that money out hard at 20%, the 60 G's.
So yeah, you really made that money
Yeah,
back.
and then I wound up selling the car anyway. Ferrari called me up and they gave me $490 for it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I
What?
ordered another one.
Oh wow. Why do they give you more than it's? What
And it's
they
so
bought it
funny, man.
for?
I see these people all the time, like
happens all the
talking.
time a lot.
People be like, "Oh, you can't do that." People will always want to tell you what you can and cannot do, and it's like, I'm sorry. Do you drive one? Not to sound like an arrogant, guy. Like
What
that. It's
color
like,
is your
no,
Bugatti?
yeah, no. It's like no. It really used to bother me. Like, oh, good luck. What's the oil change on that? That would send me over the top. You want to know why? Because if you knew anything about having one, you get free maintenance for 7 years.
Really? I never knew that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, right? Because people are like, oh, and it's typically coming from a pessimistic place.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, like my barber asked me the other day, he's like, "Yo, what did oil change?" But I know his heart, and he was just genuinely curious,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, it's free maintenance. But it was in the middle of, I bought it it was a childhood dream to have that car. Man, you live more in 5 minutes in that car than most people live in their whole life. I've seen people come back to life pulling up in that car. I saw a homeless lady literally on the floor one time, just like passed out. I pulled right up and she just got right up and she was just talking to me about it. It was just like, I had so many experiences. That's what I loved about that car. People thought I bought a red Ferrari because I wanted attention. It's like, listen, I bought a red Ferrari to make a freaking point. To make a point so that I could, where I come from, anybody can have one. Truthfully, anybody can have one if you just want to take the time to learn the things. But yeah, they bought it back for me because I bought it in the middle of the pandemic, April. I remember when they called me up and they said I walked in there. I was doing a real estate deal in Everett, and it was super high stress, high pressure, and I was either losing everything or I was buying a Ferrari. There was no in between. And I'm in the middle of a similar situation right now, honestly. But we could talk about I'd love to give you the details of a deal I'm in the middle right now.
Yeah, definitely.
But so I walked in. I just finished the deal. I got the wire, and I had hard money on the house. I had to perform. So I got the wire. I walk into the Ferrari dealership, and they had a red 488 there. I always saw it. Red 48, yellow brakes, yellow badge on the side, and red stitching, right? Like, that's how I always saw it. So I walk in there, and I was going there. I've been going there for years since I've been out here. Like, I would have meetings, and I would go, and maybe a meeting wouldn't go well in sales. I'd have a client out by Norwood. I'd walk in just to have some inspiration, and they wind up, I got to know them. So I go back, finally ready. I was like, yo, I'm buying a Ferrari today. Like, this is crazy. I walk in there and I'm like, damn. And my girl at the time was like, what's wrong? And then the sales guy like, what's up? And I'm like, it's got red brakes. And it's got black stitching.
You always saw it with the yellow, right?
Yeah, it just wasn't in the vision.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wind up, the GM comes over and he's like, if you're so picky, why don't you just build one? And I'm like, my whole idea, and this is another thing, people, you got to have a Ferrari first to be able to buy one, or what people talk, right? People like to tell you things that they know that they don't know, right? So, because you guys ever heard that before?
I have, yeah.
Right,
I was actually about to ask you about that.
Yeah. So, listen, I was in a low volume store, right? Now, if I was in New York City and I walked in a Ferrari and I wanted to build a brand new one, yeah, get in line, buddy.
Yeah.
Get in line, right? I got to wait behind Kevin O'Leary, Mark Wahlberg, and all these other guys.
Of course.
Rob Dyrdek, right? It'd be like walking into Beverly Hills. I don't got money like that at all. So they say, if you're so picky, why don't you build one? And I had an identity shift moment, because I was just like, I'm not that kid anymore that grew up in a household where money was a very serious problem. And And I was just like, damn, like I said it in my head, like you mean a regular guy like me can build a Ferrari? And like it took me a couple days, and I went back there, and I remember building that car, and it was just it was a very happy time. And then the waiting though was bad. Like you had to wait 12 months for it to come in.
Of course.
And I'm just like
That's rough.
am I going to get it? Am I going to be able to get it? And I was in the middle of another real estate deal, so I wasn't really that liquid at the time. And I'm stressing like, am I going to be able to perform? Am I going to be able to perform? Because I'm not somebody who, well, at that time kept a lot of cash. Like I just don't, I'll invest. And then I know eventually I'll have money coming all over the place, from investments and sacrifices I've made. Like I used to not keep more than $3,000 in my account.
Really?
Up until like literally like a year and a half ago.
Damn.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I always told myself the closer I got to 30, I would stop doing that. I got an amazing girlfriend and love her. Hopefully she's the one. Hopefully we have some babies one day. But like the more I think about providing and protecting, the less risk you should just be you got to be a little bit more smarter and calculated, right? So now I got some, I keep a little, maybe now I keep like, a couple stacks, just in case, and but yeah, that's kind of how that all went. But I bought in the middle of COVID, and Italy got hit bad with COVID, right? Just simple supply and demand. They only made like 3,000 or 4,000 F8 Ferrari Spiders, so the car comes in, and I'm watching the market. These cars are selling for $550. I paid $388. But now there is a thing, like if you're a flipper of Ferrari, if you're a legit flipper, you will get banned from being able to buy another one brand new, right? Like there's some celebrities that I've heard. I think Justin Bieber's one of them. But like if you buy a Ferrari and you abuse it and they find out about it, Ferrari is their own mob. Like another thing about Ferrari that people don't know, the reason why I bought a Ferrari, not a Lamborghini, a couple things. I mentioned it earlier. I got rheumatoid arthritis, so I get like stiff knees. I move around a lot. I crack. You guys will notice that as we get to know each other more. I'm always in pain. But the Lamborghini, you don't have a lot of leg room. You're like this in the Lambo. In the Huracan, to clarify. The Aventador, you have more room. The F8, you have a lot of room. The 48, the Ferraris, you have a lot of room. And the Ferrari, the $3,500 payment that I was paying, that wasn't on my credit report. You can't see that when you buy with Ferrari.
Really?
You can't. You cannot. Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, all the other ones, you will see that on there.
Why can't you see it with Ferrari?
Because Ferraris, they're gangster.
They're the mob.
They're the gangster. I don't. No one knows why, and no one can explain it. Yeah. They
I like
so
it.
so
Straight up mob.
So I love that about them. So part of the deal was, I went in there, and at the time I was looking at the market, the interest rates, and I was a little worried about what was going to be happening. So a little bit of me, and like, I'm going to keep it a buck here. Like when I pushed to buy that car, and then I realized the rest of my life didn't catch up with it yet. Let me give you an example. Faneuil Hall?
Yes.
I used to park that Ferrari on the top floor, the fifth floor in the corner. I would be thinking about the car all the time. It was a distraction to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was constantly thinking about the car. I'd park the car, I'm thinking about the car, and it was because I didn't want anything to happen to it. And I was really just playing, when I bought it, I started playing defense. I started playing like managing, and I'm like, wait a minute. I could get rid of this thing. I could make 100 G's on it. I could stop worrying about it. And the next time I get it, I'm going to have it set up different. I'm going to have a garage. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. And so what I did, they called me up, and the rep was like, he's like, hey, come in and talk to the GM, see what we can do. So they made me an offer. They wanted to see how desperate I was. They offered me like 50 under what I paid for it.
Ooh.
And I'm like, listen, I'm not desperate. Like, I'm not a drug dealer. Like, I have an actual business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't treat me like this, Like, so I left, and then they reached out to me again like a month later, and I said, and they were laughing at me because they were like, dude, you have one of the highest 2022 F8 Ferraris on the market, like mileage. I drove the hell out of that car. Surprised my dad right before he passed. I knew he was going to pass, so he had cancer. So I drove out, saw him. I took him to go see Top Gun, and I filled almost every vision I had with it, except for going over the Brooklyn Bridge with it, which I'm gonna do with the next one. And I did that on purpose to kind of keep it carrot dangling for my vision. And I just, they called me back. They said, bring it back with no more than 3,500 miles. We'll give you $490 for it. So 388, $490. It's 102, and I brought it there. And I'll tell you, in my life, I have zero regrets. But if I had one, it would have been selling that car, though.
Really?
It was custom made, custom built.
Yeah,
Now I'm
yeah.
on a list. Now, well, and they let me come in and test drive the 296 it was a GTB, and then part of the deal was I got on the list, gave them a deposit, traded in the car. They cut me a check, and I got on the list. I'm on a waiting list right now. I think I'm like, last time I checked, I'm on like 31 or whatever. But they get only like 2 or 3 allocations a month, right? So I'm like, maybe in like 10 months they'll call me, and then I got to wait a year from them. So I'm probably 2 years out from having my next one. But I found the guy who bought mine, and we got a relationship. He's in real estate. He's in Brockton. Good guy. I'm not gonna say his name out of respect for him, but I had a buddy who was a police officer who ran the VIN number and stuff, and I basically called him, pulled up at his house. He let me see it, and I'm like, damn, I custom built the car.
I think I know who it is in Brockton.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, that's kind of why it and kind of how it happened. There was just simple supply and demand, and now I sold it at the top of the market because he paid $525 for it.
Wow.
But the thing is, he don't want to move it for less than that, and I respect that. And I'm honestly at this point where I've learned things in the last 2 years. It's just crazy. Like, I've learned some things that I'm happy to share with you guys. Like I learned something right after I sold that Ferrari, and I did 2 deals that one deal made me like a couple hundred G's, and then the other one I'm about to close on here. We were supposed to close January 15th, which is tomorrow. I needed an extension. We're waiting on the appraisal. That deal, as soon as I close on that would make me another 400 G's in equity. So if I knew what I knew now, I would have never sold the car, right? But it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, you learn.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are you driving right now then?
Oh, right now I got my first dream car, my Lexus. I like her. She don't talk back to me. She don't say pay me every month. She's paid off. White, red seats. The car is super reliable. It's a Toyota, and they're the best.
Yeah.
You know, and here's one thing Dave Ramsey says that I like. He put out a thing like a lot of millionaires, like top 5 car they're driving is like a Toyota, Lexus, Honda. Right, those are great cars.
Yes.
Great cars. But I typically don't even drive. I'm very grateful and fortunate, but we talk about the time value of money. That's something I'm really big on, and leverage. But when I have a driver, you know, usually I'm on time and early, but like that's why I was a little late today because the driver I was going to use just like kind of canceled on me last minute. But that's why I keep a couple just on rotation. But I love having a driver. It's just it's a different, you know, I guess as you know, my friends, oh, that's a different flex, you know, and it actually is different than the Ferrari flex, right?
It is.
It's like Ferrari saying something, driver saying another thing. And I'm super grateful. I hope for you guys getting to know me. Like, I don't say these things to impress anybody, but just to impress in them what is possible. I mean, I came out here, I had nothing 6-7 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And I know where I come from and who I am, and it's just I'm not a special person. I've just had the privilege of having people take their time to talk to me and teach me things and find a liking in me to want to give me some knowledge so that I could have a better life. Right. That's just all I am.
I really appreciate like how humble you are to be saying that and to, you know, even give your time to be here and talk about things like that. That's dope.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I came. And you know, at first, naturally, like I'm just like super busy, like we all are, and you know, it's you know, time is money.
Yeah.
Time is money, and you know, at first I was like, you know, please don't take this the wrong way, guys.
No,
You guys have been
you're
great.
good,
But
be
I was like, yo, they're like, you know, these are like, I'm like, you know, I know what my hourly rate is. I was like, you know what? And I said to myself, I was like, if this helps one person, you can't put $1 on it. You can't put you can't, if this helps one person, like I love, like I'll do this for free all day. If people really take something with this and pass it on and do something for it, I love that.
That's dope.
And that's what we're trying to do with the podcast. Maybe someone could get something out of it.
That's good. I like that. Because at first I didn't know. He's like, yo, you want to pull up and have a combo on the mics? I'm like, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
All right, let's do it,
I
I guess.
appreciate that.
I guess.
Yeah, we really do. Really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it too.
That's
Appreciate
dope.
it.
You talked about hourly rate, my friend.
Yeah.
Like what
What is the
what
hourly
is
rate?
an hourly rate for you right now?
So it's funny, right? So it depends on the year, right? So, and this is for everybody should know their hourly rate. You know, talk about making an impact. So what do you guys work? 40 hours a week, 50? What do you think? Focused billable hours?
That's a good question.
Oh, talk about more like 100, maybe 100 hours a week.
100? Yeah.
Easily. I don't stop. Yeah, he don't stop.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, if you know me, I look at like, hey, how many billable like income producing activities. Like if you look at your income producing activities, how many hours do you work a week? So what you could do just to keep a simple number. Let's say if you make you work for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you're listening in, and you make 150 grand a year, right?
Yeah.
So 150 grand a year divided by 52 weeks, that's $2,884 divided by, let's just say you're an entrepreneur, you're working 50 hours a week, divided by 50 hours a week. That means you're worth about $58 an hour.
Okay.
Right? So the thing is, it's like for everybody listening in, if you're fit in that category, you shouldn't be cutting your grass. You shouldn't be folding your laundry.
Have someone else do it.
Wow.
Because every time you're doing that,
You're wasting your.
you're wasting.
Your
I mean,
$57.
yeah, like
$58.
so like I have my my director of operations, right? She does well. But like let me use an example of my my old assistant. We actually just broke up, parted ways. She was great, but it was just, she kind of, we both just grew apart. When you have a personal assistant, you're going to step on each other's toes. Like she's folding my underwear, matching my socks. She's cooking for me.
Oh, wow.
She clean. She came over every Sunday, every Wednesday. I would have trips. I wouldn't even have to think about packing. My stuff would be packed, toothbrush, this, that, the third, all of it. Right. So my thing was she made around, let's just say $25 an hour. Right? If I'm worth $300 an hour, I'm losing $300 every hour that passes by. Right? And that's just if I think more people, if they looked at the time value of money, they would constantly increase their leverage. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I have a driver.
So you can still make money while driving, or someone driving you.
Yeah, I don't have to think. The thing is, thinking bandwidth is just, people don't think about that. Like that's why I wear the same thing every day. I don't have to think about what I wear. Like you can count on it. I mean, I got my $30 Amazon jeans on. I wear my black Adidas long socks every day. I got my Aldo boots on. I got my Hermes belt. I love my Hermes belt, and I wear a black cut shirt. I got like 10 of these, and I just laundry gets done every Sunday. I don't have to worry about it. It's the same fit. You can count on it every single time.
Yeah. Rotate.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny because this will go above people's head. They'll be like, "Oh, that's too extra. That's so pointless." But it's like
It works for him though.
But it works. You know?
Yeah. Well, and everything, like there's just like some people, oh, you want to be an entrepreneur, they'll say you got to get up at 5 a.m. I know people that do really well and they sleep till 8.
Yeah.
Like this is just what like you said, it works for me, but like what's extra to me is you having to take 10 minutes to every single day to think about what you're going to wear. Every 6 days that goes by, you lost an hour. Next thing you know, 52 weeks goes by, you just lost 52 hours. You just lost a whole week. Over a decade, I got 10 weeks on you.
See, that goes over
That's
a lot of people's
a
head.
lot.
Nobody puts it in that perspective.
Oh, they can rewind
That's
it. They can
huge.
rewind it and do the math.
That's huge, though. That's huge.
Right? So that's the
No one thinks of it at that level though. Most
Right.
people don't.
break this hit me in the chest one time. One of my mentors, Brian Delaney, another super impactful guy, brilliant dude, makes probably $200,000 a month. He's got a full staff. So I'm at his house for an event, and he's speaking. I'm at his estate. We're in the event center piece, and he's speaking, and there's a stage, and behind him there's bathrooms, right? But like it's a wall, but like an open wall, like kind of, right? It's just a wall, and the bathrooms are behind the wall, and you just hear every time somebody goes in the bathroom, there's a squeak. So he looks at one of his people on his staff. He just gives him a look. The person steps outside, hits the walkie-talkie. 5 minutes later, this dude's just rolling up with WD-40 to hit the thing.
Whoa.
That's leverage. No. But let me break this down. That's just perspective of the guy who taught me what I'm about to share with everybody. So he goes, Tim. He goes, you want to do all these things. He's like, but you don't. There was a time where I didn't want to pay people's thing. I didn't want to pay staff. I didn't have an investor's mindset, right? Like I didn't want to pay for Craigslist ads. I don't want to pay Indeed $1,000 a month to recruit people and interview them. I didn't want to do all those things. So finally, my brain slowly started to shift, right? Like, I'm looking at this equipment y'all got in here. Like, these Sony cameras, you got over like 10 G's just in cameras and lenses in front of us, right? Some people don't want to spend the money to get the profitability, right? Like, y'all probably aren't making crazy money in this podcast, but hopefully maybe one day you are, and it was worth it, right? So to my point, Brian goes, listen, man, he goes, I have X amount of people on payroll full time. But just to keep it, just to dumb it down a little bit for us, is I could give 50 hours in a week, focused 50 hours delivered at my best. Let's just call it 40, right? To deliver 50 focused hours, like you're a savage. People, oh yeah, I work, 120 hours a week. It's like, how many focused hours do you can you put in, right? Like I'm probably 35, 40, right? Now, if you get somebody else on payroll, you get another 40 hours, right? So that's about 8 hours a day. So Brian just gave me an example of 3 people. He goes, me and 2 other people. No, he gave me 5 people. He goes, in one day, I have 40 hours of work.
Wow.
In one day, I have a regular person's whole week. What they can get done in a week, I can get done in a day because I have 40 man-woman power on payroll. And then it hit me when I sent my homie Cooper. He's a pastor of a church out in New York now. He just became the lead pastor actually last Sunday. Shout out to him. He's the one who helped introduce me to Jesus. And I had him on payroll, and we just sat and talked about Jesus like every single day. Like no work got done, but the business managed to still grow.
That's a
right,
right there.
Yeah, that's a shout out to Jesus. He had my back on that one. But Cooper, I remember I was meeting with a client for insurance, and I typically don't sell anymore. If a friend or somebody needs something, I'll help them out. But this client wanted some coverage, so I'm writing an application, right? And so I'm writing an application, and I know that work is about $200 an hour work. That work, like when you sit with a client and just do that. So he was making like $20 an hour. He went and showed one of my rental properties in Everett to a family. So he's showing a rental property that was going to pay me $2,800 a month. He's trying to get a lease signed for Penso Enterprises, right? The companies. While I'm writing an insurance application, making $200 an hour, he's making $25. So that's costing me $25 an hour. But now I'm in 2 places at once. I can get more done. Mm-hmm. And that's when I got addicted to it. And now it's like I just need more people on payroll, right?
How much would you say that you make right now with that setup that you have? We're paying people to help you make more money.
Right. So my best year was 880. This last year I think was 680. So that's an income. Like that's in cash flow.
Gotcha. Right.
So now that's going to be different than what you have access to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, as of right. Yeah, so that's to answer your question.
Yes, it does.
So right now this last year 2023 was like 680.
Gotcha. But what does your portfolio look like? Your
equity positions?
Equity, yeah.
Like to tap into?
Exactly. Because I know
I just did the math the other day. I mean, after I close on this next deal, that'll add about 400. I mean, I'm in between. I mean, I got one property in Everett that's got right next, just almost $1 million in equity, just there. Right, and then I got my other one in Salem, that my first one I bought, and then I got 72 units in Tennessee. I got a portfolio out in Binghamton, 31 beds, building 27 beds out there. I mean, probably just I don't know, like 3 to 4 million. Wow. Nothing crazy compared to the people like I mean, I'm like a little minnow, to be honest with you. Like I'm still pissed I haven't done 7 figures in a year before 30. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
you talked about your mentor. Where did you meet your mentor? Did you?
Which one?
The one that you just talked about, does
Brian?
200K and
insurance.
You guys
he insurance. Yeah, most of my mentors I met in insurance, and then they taught me. What I learned in insurance is I learned leadership. I learned communication skills. Like I'm from if you met my family, they don't communicate how I communicate. right? Not that I'm a phenomenal communicator at all, but like I'm talking about like my mom is Dominican and Cuban, first language Spanish, you know, just the emotional intelligence sometimes just, I'm not gonna say it's not there, but fill in the blank, use your imagination. But she's a great woman, but like it's just that's what I learned from the insurance and these mentors, and then I was able to get more mentors because I could communicate. But if I kept talking like a ghetto gangsta about that thug life, like that ain't cool. I used to think it was cool, man.
Same.
I used to think it was so cool to raise your voice.
I think everybody at one point, thinks that like that gangster life or whatever was
nah.
cool or
You want to show me how hard you are? Can you provide?
That was church today, bro. Matt put us on the spot. He talked to just the men.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he put us on the spot today.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
I didn't even catch
at
that.
the very end of service. It might have even been after I don't know if you watched it like online,
No.
but it might have been after they turned off the cameras. But he put the men on the spot today.
Yeah,
It's going exactly down the line of what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, but no, to answer your like question just directly, yeah, my insurance, like but you gotta become the type of person that somebody wants to work with, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Makes
right?
sense. Now, what does an average day for Timothy Penso look like?
Chaos. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm not perfect. So when I wake up, when I'm in my groove, I've been getting up at 5:30 as of lately. It helps a lot more when you buy an alarm clock and you move it away from your bed. You don't have a choice.
You have to get
up.
up.
You have to get up. That's
a nice little trick there.
Yeah. So 5:30, I'm at the gym. I live in the North End, so I just scoot down to the gym, get my workout in, and I'm back in my house in the shower at like 7 a.m. and I like to be in my office by 7:45. Again, when I'm at my best, this isn't always, but I'm in the middle of a 52-week Bible study for men, and then I'm just doing a little bit of that, and then I'm reading a little bit of this book right now called Deep Work, which is pretty good. It's just about the being focused being a commodity today, and people can't just stay on one task. So I'm in the middle of that, and then 8 a.m. My director of operations, Gabby, she gets on. She's in North Carolina, so I hop on with her. We start just tackling stuff on Zoom virtually. Every Monday through Thursday, I got my team call with all the whole squad. Just meetings, interviews. I'm in the insurance business, so it's like the more people we have, the more insurance we sell. So we're always looking for sharp people who are looking to, that are hungry and humble, and looking that are teachable and coachable, and just looking to learn. So I'm always just scouting, for that. But now it's nice because people just they're more interested in us than we just are of them. People just organically want to come and work with us now, which I'm grateful. But yeah, it just looks like that. And then in between my insurance meetings, I try to weave in my real estate meetings in the evening because that's my other business. My cash cow is like my cash. A lot of real estate developers, they live wire to wire. When I say wire to wire, like direct deposit to direct deposit, but their direct deposits it's like elephant hunting. They're getting massive direct deposits, 400 or 500 G's, where I'm grateful for my insurance business because I'll print 30 to 50, 45, every month. Like if I don't focus on it at all, it'll print 30.
Yeah.
Right. So I try not to get away from it that much, but if you focus on it, you could turn that thing up to 75, 80, 100, 200, 300 a month. The real estate thing's kind of, some would argue it's a distraction, but I won't really see the benefits of that till really, like you asked about the equity, the portfolio. But when I'm 35, people are going to be like, yo, this dude blew up overnight, but you're going to just see the withdrawals from the seeds that were planted now.
Exactly.
To
grow a tree, you have to first plant the seeds and then wait for it to grow.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to plant the seed and they're like, yo, how come there's no fruit the next day?
Right.
That's that hood mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed gratification is a skill.
Yeah.
Right.
What's inspired you to kind of even get to this level, like or who?
So it's funny. Well, who? I mean, listen. I grew. My dad killed himself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Money was involved. Right. My dad was a smart dude. He was he made like signs, neon signs. You got that sign right there. He would bend glass. We had a glass bender in the basement, and he would make signs and things like that. He had the machine where he was nice with computers, where he could be on the computer, graphic design, and he could put the thing on the machine, and then it would cut and it would print, and awning business. So he just, he's from he living in the Bronx, and he was a little like he was about that life, and he was making prescriptions. Remember back in the day when you had an antibiotic?
Yeah.
The doctor would give you a prescription, and they'd hand it to you, and you go to the pharmacy. He was making prescriptions.
Wow.
And he was selling them to kingpins.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
for the record, it was ruled a suicide. But you've heard the song with Fat Joe, "Lean Back."
Yeah.
And when he said we're from the Bronx, New York, shit happens.
Shit does happen, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if he was killed. A lot of people think he was killed. It was ruled a suicide. But there was money at play here. He was doing things that he was doing what he had to do to provide. Unfortunately.
Damn.
Right. So they just found him in the basement hanging. The neighbor said that there were some people there that morning, but it was never investigated. It's the Bronx. Right? You got the PD pulling up. They're just doing their job. Wow. If somebody wanted to be an overachiever that day, they could have went in farther. But that came down to one person, depending on how hard they wanted to work to figure out what really happened.
Damn, bro.
You know what I mean? That's just keeping it real. I know, right? I know. I never really think about it like that, but
That's kind of crazy. That's a whole ass movie right there.
Yeah, it's just another Bronx tale, as Sonny would say.
Another
The Bronx tale. It's just another Bronx tale. But yeah, man. I just had this. I've always just had this deep drive to want to win. I have 5 brothers, man. You ain't got to. My brothers are freaking savages, man. Like I got twin brothers, identical twin brothers. They're a little older than me. They're twice, 3 times the size of me, man. They I've seen them do things you can only see in movies, and they're just. I always felt a responsibility to show a good path, and to show. I just wanted people to look at me and be like, hey, damn, that dude did it, and because he did it, I now can do it faster or better. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've just always liked nice things. My mom is obsessed with money, and that kind of became a thing that was in me a little bit because I grew up not having it. I remember when the truck got repossessed in the wintertime, my mom comes out and she starts yelling at my stepdad. She goes, what kind of man lets this happen to his family? And he was just sitting there. And my dad was a good dude, my stepdad, but like he raised us, but like he wasn't like the quote unquote like provider. Like he was a great loving guy, but like he wasn't like that like he was a corner cutter, like he was he was an Italian dude. Use your imaginations, you see the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna speak on that on record, but he never worked. I never saw him work.
Gotcha.
But he did things,
Just chasing the fast buck type of thing.
Yes. And he and I watched him grow up being the help to a lot of people. And when he was jammed up, he would always have to call this one dude who's a great guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he was the guy. And when they talked about this guy, he was the guy that and I could just never see myself relying on having a call, like needing something. I'm sorry, this is just a pride thing. It's the same reason why I don't do fantasy football. Like people be doing fantasy football and they're like, oh, if you're doing it for fun, sure. But recently I was at this thing and they were all like, oh man, I just really need him to get this first down. I'm like, damn, you really need it a lot from another grown ass man right now.
Damn.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just never wanted to be that dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's pride, and pride will cost you more than anything. Yeah. But it's just like,
Pride came before the fall, eh?
What's that?
Pride came before the fall.
Yeah, man, and it's just like, it is what everybody's got the thing. I know I'm saying a lot of crazy shit on this podcast, and people aren't gonna like it. That's not all my people are my people.
Good.
That's their problem with it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, 100%. It's just if people say money isn't everything, but like if you came up the way I came up, you would understand.
Yeah.
Right? Like I see the people who grow up in these households with a 2-parent special, and they got the degree on the wall, and they're like, oh, my son or my went to Harvard. It's like, yeah, but he don't even know how to pay his own bills on time.
Right. So that leads me to ask, like, is there such thing as too much money? Why or why not?
The power under control. Power under control. If you got power under control, there's no such thing as too much money. If you don't have control, I know I've met some people. I met this dude recently. This dude was ridiculous, man. I met this dude. He's like, people are like, yo, you gotta meet so and so. You gotta meet so and so. So I'm down at what's that one restaurant, Ocean Prime or whatever in
Yeah,
Freeport.
I love that place.
So I go there, and this dude's just like wilding out at the bar, and he's rolling deep. He's got like some cops with him, and I found out he's got these dudes on payroll. This dude was dude was a different cat. So, but I don't kiss nobody's ass, right? So this one guy said to me one time, he's like, the only ass I'm kissing is my own. I started dying laughing. But I was interviewing him at a sales meeting. But anyway, so Archie, he's a great guy, talented dude. So this dude's there, and he's wilding out, acting crazy. He's banged up, like just acting belligerent. But he's got so much money, and he's got cops on payroll. So he's just wilding out. So the doorman comes like, yo, you got to meet that dude. He's like, y'all might have a lot to connect on. And I'm like, so I didn't really like pay him much attention. And then I saw him again after that somewhere else out. I was out at like Lola 42, and then I saw him. I didn't give him much attention. And then I saw him again at Marielle, and everybody was around him. He was more in a sober state, and everybody's trying to talk and kiss this dude's ass. And he sees me. I see him. I just give him a head nod. He gives me a head nod because we've seen each other a couple times. He comes over. Next thing you know, we're at his penthouse. He's blowing lines. I'm like, yo, he's telling me about he's got a fund with $1 billion in a fund, billion. He's like, yo, I lend money all the time if you ever want to do a real estate deal, blah, 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 blah. So I'm interested in this dude's thinking process, and I'm getting to know him more. He's ripping lines at blow. He's like, yo, you want to do blow? I say, listen, nah, man, I'm good. I put that behind me. Thanks for the offer. I'm good. So, but, then I kind of just wanted to leave. So I leave, but I still wanted to like get to know him, see his heart a little bit more, maybe introduce him to Jesus or something, Mm-hmm. And, so we wind up linking up one more time, but intentionally in New York. And he's just over and over again telling me how he doesn't do blow anymore. Like, but he keeps going to the bathroom every 10 minutes. And I'm like, interesting. He's with his daughter. Next thing you know, to cut it short, he's doing blow with his daughter, asking me to do it with him. I shut him down twice. He's acting belligerent. He goes, come on, man, just freaking rip a line. I said, I told you already, I put it behind me. He gets pissed off. He texts me. I left like 5 minutes later. He texts me the next morning and telling me I'm a piece of shit. I think I'm better than him. And he told me I was a loser and I never talked to him again. Damn. Meanwhile, he's ripping lines with his daughter. So you asked me this. Is too much money, what was the question?
Is too much money? Is there
such thing as too much money?
Is there such thing as too much money? Exactly.
I think to that guy, I'm not him, but looking on the outside, yes.
To him, probably, right?
Gotcha.
So power under control.
Power under control.
Wow.
Dude, that's a great piece of advice.
That's a crazy story.
That's a great story.
Is there anything else like that?
No, dude, it freaking messed me up for a couple of days, man. I was like really bummed because I really wanted to learn from this guy, And then I was so confused. Like I looked up to him a little bit, but it's like you're calling me a loser because you're ripping lines with your daughter. I needed perspective on that. I had to get with my mentors after that. Yeah. I called that dude, my boy Brian, and my other boy Edward. Edward lives in Puerto Rico. You don't pay taxes in Puerto Rico. 4% corporate. Yep. Graduated from Yale insurance, dude. One of my mentors. Yeah.
You kind of have to be your own superhero when the world doesn't really have a lot of those, and when the people you look up to aren't as what they seem, in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put up a facade. Yeah.
Somebody told me once, you don't put somebody on a pedestal that you're not willing to see them fall off of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I was like, I just put too much stock in them.
But yeah.
Damn. What about future goals? Let's talk about future goals. Obviously, you're doing a lot, right?
Yeah.
Where are you going with it? 5 years from now, what's the plan? A year from now, maybe 3 years from now, what is the dream? What is the goal? What is,
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again. We would like to thank our sponsors for the video, because without them, we would not be able to do this video. Our first sponsor we'd like to thank is the BACP Group, which is Alex's business. Yeah. Without Alex, we would not be able to do this podcast. He has given us this platform. So thank you so much, Alex. We really appreciate it. Guys, if you want your own podcast, or if you want to do a video or photo shoot or even the boudoir shoot for you ladies out there, hit up Alex. He is second to none. He is the best at it. I don't know anyone else better at it. So, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so
We
much.
really appreciate it. Also, we'd like to thank Nutrimeals. So we're always busy, and from what Tim was saying, sometimes you have to pay for your time back.
100%.
And with food, you're cooking all the time.
Nobody's got time to meal prep.
No one's got time to meal prep sometimes. So Nutrimeals, they take all the hassle out of it. You get to order your meals online. They send it to you, deliver it to you, or you can pick it up at one of their many sites. They have so many options. They have high protein, low sodium, gluten free,
Whatever.
low
you
carb.
want.
So many options, guys. Like, it's insane. Like, they've really branched out to now like smoothies and
there's so much.
donuts.
There's like energy shots, I think.
Exactly.
There's just so much.
So much you could do with them. Guys, if you really have a busy life schedule like us, please try Nutrimeals at least once. Yeah, I mean, you won't forget it. You literally won't regret it.
Nope.
Trust me. So use KMF40 at checkout for 40% off your first order. And if you're a member at KMF Strong, you get 5% off your orders for the rest of your life. Nutrimeals, give them a try. You won't regret it.
That's right.
Yeah, so I definitely, I mean, you're talking 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, what you
I'm
think?
talking about what is your biggest goal, biggest ambition? Where, like, if there was like a top of where you wanted to be, like, what does that look like for you? Are we living in Dubai, penthouse Dubai? Like, what?
That's
like,
funny, man.
I want to know what.
I really had I only had like 2 goals this year. The first one was just being more intentional with what I put in my body. One what I put in my body, and 2 just getting on the recruiting leaderboard for Jesus. Honestly, that was that's one of my that's that right there. But that was just this year. But overall, I mean, nice things are nice, right? It's okay to have nice things. It's not okay for those nice things to have you. And I mean, I got big plans. I know. Big plans for me. Like, I would like to, helicopter, plane. You talk about time value, right? And it's just like it's not about just the goal of. The big goal is not to have a plane. The big goal is to have more time. Right? Like that's the big goal is like, and that's where I need to do some of my own work and get with my mentors of like, what does that look like? Hey, is the big goal like how much time, if you can quantify that, what is that? What does that look like? Well, because the only reason why to have a plane is to save time, right? Like if I could, to save time, but just to have more experiences, right? If you have more time, well, you're never really going to find time, right? You're never going to look under a bench or under.
There it is.
Yeah,
10
you
hours.
found it, right? It's like you're going to create more, and that's my biggest goal. Like my wrestling coach, I feel like I would be a way better man if I had more time with him, but he's 5.5 hours away, right? If I had a helicopter, I wouldn't have to deal with that. Like I could just fire up the helicopter, go have some experiences with him and his family and his kids that are like my little brothers and sisters, basically. Like that's my biggest goal is like when I could just fire up the jet and just be like, yo, we're out. I'm going to hang out with my brother, or I'm going to be like, just giving magical experiences to people. I love that. And like, that's really what I liked about the Ferrari. But yeah, that's pretty much my biggest goal, having more people on payroll. I love the idea that like, I'm able to create an energy in this world that produces revenue for the company, that pays Gabby, that feeds her daughter. Right. Like I like that. I want more of that. And I don't know, maybe one day, more and more what's happening in the world, politically, I could see myself wanting to get involved in that. I'm not
dope.
saying I'd, I might be the first president with, neck tattoos. I don't know.
That'd be fire.
But
Speaking like Patrick Bet David right now.
yeah. Oh, I love Patrick Bet David.
He's
You know
savage.
where he made his wealth?
Insurance.
Yeah. He worked for PHP, People Helping People.
Yeah.
Um,
Didn't he just sell it?
Yeah. I think he's the contract he has. I think he's still there's something there. He's still with them, but yeah, he got acquired. That's how I think he took some of that wealth, and then he bought the Yankee piece of the Yankees.
I like him a lot.
Like 25 million. You can get like a share. But yeah, I love Patrick. Yeah, a lot of my values align with him. But I would probably like to get into the political things maybe when I'm, 40, 45, maybe 50. I think
We got to get you to sit down with him.
Yeah, no, that'd be
I'm
cool.
sure you'd
Actually,
love a
I actually
conversation
just
like that.
yeah, I reached out to him for a conference we're doing in Orlando. Well, his manager, and he wanted 250 to come speak for an hour, and yeah, I'm just not there yet.
$250,000.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not $250.
So what's cool though is Ed Milet was he was way more open and like cooler about it, like really just wanting to do it for the heart of doing it, because Ed Milet also made his money in
That's another dude, another
yeah.
great dude too.
Yeah, both of them are a great guy. One just, Ed's more of a relational feeler, like a little bit more of emotional, leads with emotion, where Pat's just wired for structure. Just very phenomenal, fantastic communicator.
Loves the numbers.
Yeah, he's a structure guy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so data is everything. But yeah, just that stuff, man. I'd love to make an impact, make a difference. I think things are just messed up right now. You got veterans and people who've served this country and protected this country getting turned down for certain services, and then you're getting new people coming into the country. Nothing wrong with immigrants, right? It's just like we just have to process things correctly. Like some things are just bass backwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100%. Like I can't think of the example right now, but recently there was somebody. A veteran that was just like turned down because they needed to make room for, like, they were sending people home from nursing.
Christian can speak on that because he's a veteran.
Yeah,
I am, and I remember when I got out, and it was just stupid. Like a lot of discrimination against us, and I was in the South too when I got out.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh man, thanks for your service.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
That's cool.
Appreciate
I love
it.
that.
Thank you.
So that was my first dream. We'll get back to that, but I want to hear more. about what you're saying.
Dude. Oh, well, you didn't miss much. Trust me.
Yeah.
The military is not like what it used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like I was like the most stellar Marine when I was in. Trust me, I was a shitbag. I ain't gonna lie.
How long were you in for?
I was in for 4 years. So like right out of high school, 3 months later I went to boot camp, and then I got out in May of 2016. So it's coming up on my 7
So
year.
you graduated in 12?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. So did I, and I wanted to go. Actually, like, did everything, and then I went to graduate. When I say did everything, I set myself up to graduate early as a junior. My mom gave me permission to, because if with parental consent before 18, you can enlist into the Marine Corps. Yep. So all that happened. So my left foot, I had surgery my junior year, and I always had joint pain. And my mom was like, oh, it's just growing pains. I had playing football, I hurt myself or whatever. And when they cut me open, I woke up from the surgery, and they're like, we found a bunch of something that shows that he's got rheumatoid arthritis. And they're like, oh, that explains his joint pain. Marine Corps was like, we can't take you. But I already completed all my classes. Yeah. So my wrestling coach was like, that's fine, you'll just wrestle. So I just went to school. I went to school late as a senior. Like, had a special permission slip, and I would just work from 5 to 11, sanding cabinet doors. And then I would get out at 3, and then I would work till 9. So I was getting 5 hours in the morning and then 6 hours at night. So I was working 11-hour days in high school, like $10 an hour cash. Like, I was, I was feeling like a baller in high school. You know what I mean? I had an opportunity. But I mean, that was my dream. Like, I want to be military police, come out, be a state trooper, go to the FBI. That was the plan.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
Now I know why.
But your life would have been completely different.
But then I went to college, and I was like, all right, I just won't go to the Marine Corps. I won't get the extra 5 or 10 points on the exam you have to take. Was it ASVAB?
Yeah, ASVAB.
So I was like, I'll just do it the harder way. The odds are against me, but whatever. They can keep their points. I'll just try to score high. But when I did that report on the FBI, I said, I'm not doing this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No. So that's
Would have been a completely different shift of life. Like, you know?
Yeah. I still have a desire to be in the police force.
Really?
It's just all that stuff, man. It's about it. Once you get enough money, it's just about impact. Like once you have, I mean, life is, once you get over, I mean, this is just a fact, like, or not a fact, but you have to check the data. But like, I think over $500,000, you really, once you hit $500,000, you now have money for your kids to go to private school. You got your car, you got your lady's car, you got your toy, you got your nice house, you got your vacation, and maybe you have one extra house. $500,000 will get you all that. After that, it's like, all right, what are we going for here? Right? And then you just start making more impact, and therefore the money just keeps coming back in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
There's got to be something bigger,
Exactly.
right?
I actually like that about Dave Ramsey. You know, I know we're talking about Dave Ramsey earlier. I actually like that about, like, you know, you make your money, you're financially free, whatever you want to call it, and then you give back. And I always loved doing that.
Yeah.
I always told Vinny, you know, if we when we win, we make it big. I'd love to be able to give back to the veterans in the military because I'm really big on that.
100%, man. I mean, at the end of the night, you know, my best friend, he's like my brother. His name is John Wingerter. He's about to go into, if I got married tomorrow, he'd be my best man. He's going to Ranger school at the end of the month, right?
Nice.
He was in the Air Force for like 8 years, and then he went from blue to green. He just became an officer, got his bachelor's degree. He's my age, 29, and he studies war.
Yeah.
Well,
I study money and people in leadership. I'm so grateful for him. Right? And it's like, how are you not gonna take care of the people that keep you safe at night? And people lose perspective of that. It's like, oh, defund the police? Okay.
that's the stupidest idea.
It is
Okay.
stupid.
Okay.
It's the dumbest idea, bro.
You know, okay, if you know, listen, sometimes I wish it was the wild, wild west when we could just have duels and solve our problems.
Yeah.
Take them outside. It's all right. Let's go.
I'm your Huckleberry.
That little
Yeah.
showdown.
Yeah, Doc Holliday.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know, so
definitely.
that's just something that, you know, when you talk about future goals, it's like, you know, you gotta, you know, I don't want to get too political on the cast, but it's just you gotta take care of the people who take care of you.
Yeah,
100%.
I like that though,
I like that.
for sure.
Really, really do.
Wanna
Awesome.
get into
Awesome.
your real estate then?
I would love to get into my real estate.
mean,
I'm-
itching.
I'm itching.
Yeah,
I
can tell.
really
like
like
it. I like it.
My parents, they had a lot of real estate. They had about 6 houses before they got divorced. And my inspiration I kind of got it from them. So I spent a lot of my years after the military making a lot of money from like the GI Bill and disability and everything like that. And I regret not buying like at least a house back then. I was partying a lot.
You can
going
still
to
get a
college.
VA loan, right?
I can, yes, I can.
Have you used it?
I have not. No, I have not. I'm looking to get a VA loan this year, though, so I can buy at least a house when the interest rates go down, coming in the summer and the fall.
Don't wait.
I'm not trying to wait that
wait.
much. I'm not trying to wait. So is that the first tip? Don't wait.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. People are like, oh, you know, people are always looking for the right deal. And the thing is, you got to, forceful execution of even a poor plan will bring victory. Every time. I mean, everybody told me,
That's a golden nugget right
stop, don't buy. Like you're buying at the high. But the thing is, I never take advice from anybody I wouldn't trade places with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you want to tell me about my relationship, buddy? You've been divorced 3 times and you're cheating on your wife right now. Currently, I can't hear you when you talk to me about relationships.
That's so huge, bro. That is so huge.
You know, your credit's a 580 and you're trying to tell me what to do with money.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my problem with our boy Dave. It's like, bro, you're living in a $10 million house and you're telling people not to do things that you didn't do, right? Like, it's like, you know, and it goes back to leadership. It's like, you know, but I don't want to go down that detour right now. But with real estate, yeah, I wouldn't wait because everything is cyclical. It's in patterns, right? And that's the thing. Like, people worry about this economy and the state of politically where we're at. You look back in time, I mean, Hamilton, I think it was Hamilton and Jefferson, when they were running against each other, were saying awful things about each other in the paper. Like saying that, like, crazy. Look at, like, y'all could look it up sometime. If you could go back and find the papers. I was at a Tony Robbins event and he showed it. Basically, he was calling so-and-so at that time a trans back then, which was evil to say back then. Right, he was saying, he's like, oh, he's trans, he's this, he's that, he molests his kids. He was saying crazy, they were saying crazy stuff about each other back then. So it's cyclical. People say, oh, I can't believe what they're saying these days. You know, Trump and Biden, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, this isn't not new. Just look at the patterns. That's an emotional, social pattern. But let's talk about the economy patterns, right? I mean, after every great recession, after every depression, you know, you have the tide go out and then you have the tide go in. You had the Roaring 20s and then you had the Great Depression after, right? So the tide goes out, the tide comes in. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Those are all just financial patterns. 2008 though, like crashes, things happen. I call them a black swan. COVID was kind of a black swan. I don't know, unexpected happened.
Yeah.
Right? Unprecedented. We didn't see that coming. 2008, though, like, I don't know if you guys know what happened.
I
what
do.
What
Yep.
caused 2008?
It's the mortgages. They were giving a mortgage out to everyone, even if it's like they didn't qualify for it.
Money printing.
So, the bigger problem there, yes, they were giving loans to almost anybody, but 40% of the loans, almost half, were adjustable rate mortgages. So what does that mean? So you signed on the dotted line, you're excited, oh, all emotional, I just got my dream house, I could afford $3,000 a month. If you do the math, or some of these houses say $500,000, go to, for the viewers listening, go to mortgagecalculator.com, put in $500,000 mortgage and play with the numbers. Go from a 3%, for example, I had a 5% adjustable HELOC. That payment on 300 G's was 15 grand a year in interest, right? So about a 1,200, let me just before I don't say anything stupid here, I don't want to misspeak and say this. Yeah, 300 grand times 15%. No, that's 45 grand. Let's see here, 300 grand, 5%. 300 grand, 5%. That's $15,000 a year. So that's $1,250 a month. My interest rate now on that is 10. It doubled. Fortunately, I'm grateful I have a business and I have things going on where I could adjust to a $1,250 unexpected monthly bill that needs to be coming in. We're talking about middle America here.
Yeah.
$1,250, that'll kill a family.
It would.
An extra, 70% of foreclosures right now are happening from a death or a disability. That's the insurance business I'm in. An extra $500 a month would have saved a lot of the foreclosures when somebody passes away. An extra $500. You're talking about last year the rates went up at a rate that we have never seen before. That the velocity was the problem. It's not that just rates went up; it was at the speed of what they went up. I went from 5 to 10 in less than 12 months. Great, but then you have another problem with inflation. Then inflation's 9%. So every 100 grand you have in the account, you're getting every $100,000 you hold was costing people $9,000 a year to have. That's another reason why I don't save a lot of money.
Makes sense.
They're printing. Why would you save money when they print it every day? Right. So, but that's what caused the problem with 2008. Yes, they were giving. It was a perfect storm, but these adjustable rate mortgages just killed people. People of middle class, Annie and Michael, the little family with 3 kids, extra $1,250, the mortgage goes up. Guess what happens, man?
Foreclosure.
Yeah. And it's usually people are like, oh, so-and-so got burned. I'm really scared to buy real estate because I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, oh, I'm really scared to invest in real estate right now. I know somebody who got screwed. I said, don't even tell me what happened, but I bet you it was on a condo or a single family. It's typically what it is. We could walk that out.
Yeah, I actually
got
do.
questions around that, yeah.
Man, do I got a lot of questions, my friend. I
Trying to learn.
do. Yes, sir. I'm really trying to learn because I'm gonna write all this stuff down. So the first thing, and the audience will probably get a lot of use out of this. What is the first thing you should do when you want to be a real estate investor? What is the first thing? Because you got to get a good credit score. You got to have at least a little bit of money saved, no debt, maybe. What would be the best tip for that?
First thing I think is if you want to start looking at real estate, start going to open houses. Start going to open houses, get the juices going. And if you really want to invest in real estate, the first book you should read is Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Have you all read that already?
I haven't. I've read Have It All by Chris Crone.
Oh, Chris Crone.
I love that guy.
He's wild. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's wild, funny guy. But I look up to him. I like that guy.
Yeah, me too.
So, Rich Dad Poor Dad has got to be a must for people. And then yeah, you said it, man. You know a lot of this. So credit's got to be good. But the DTI is the most important thing for your first home that you buy. You have to keep your income under 45% DTI. So that means if you make 10 grand a month, with your new mortgage, you can't go over $4,500 a month in bills.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on DTI?
All right. So DTI, say you make $120,000 a year right now. That's $10K a month.
Yep.
Right. We can get my buddy Dave the bonus on here. He's a mortgage guy. He'd love you guys should reach out to him. Very successful guy. And So 45% DTI.
Say Dave DeBonis.
Yeah.
Does he have a sister called Deb?
I don't know him like that, but
Okay.
he's a great guy. I love the dude. I talked to him yesterday. He's in Punta Cana right now with his family. Great husband, great father.
Deb, bro.
Very
Deb
successful.
DeBonis.
Yeah, I know who it
Because
is.
you know she's big into real estate. And all
I
that,
do.
so
I do.
almost
Maybe
wonder.
it's
Yeah, I've
someone.
never
She was
heard him
the
talk.
client.
I've known him for a while, but he's
Interesting.
never.
Not to cut us all off, but
No, you're
anyways,
good, you're
all
good.
right, back at it.
So if you're making 10 grand a month, 45% of DTI would be 4,500 a month. So you cannot exceed more than over 45% of your DTI. You know, my first deal, I was at 44.99.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was my one in Salem. Actually, I think at that time it was 40. It was 40. The DTI was 50%. Now I think it's 45. You could just check like, hey, what DTI do you need to be under to qualify for an FHA loan?
Gotcha.
Right? But I know it's between 45 and 50. So you can't be, and this is why I don't believe in buying a single family home if it's not like the home of your dreams, right? So if you rent right now, $3,000 a month, they don't count that against your DTI. They only count what shows up on your credit report, hence what I brought up about the Ferrari.
Yep.
Right? So now, you know, say you got the credit card right now that you're paying $200 a month, that counts. You got the school loan, $200 a month, that counts. Now you're at $400. Now you smack in, I mean, a $500,000 house right now, I think your mortgage is around $3,700 a month. Something in there, between $3,000 and $4,000, I believe, depending on how much you put down, right? But if you're putting 5% down on a $500,000 house, you're in between $3,000 and $4,000. So now you just have enough to close on the property, but you got to be under 45% DTI. So if it's a $4,000 mortgage, you got $500 of wiggle room that you haven't even factored in a car payment. Cell phone bills don't count. Cable bills don't count. What's on the credit report, right? What is your minimum payments on your credit cards? That's what they go off of. So once you factor that in, you're under the 45% DTI. And again, I'm not a mortgage officer, but a mortgage officer could just do a pre-qualification on you, which is going to be a hard hit on your credit. But you know, if you have decent credit, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then they'll give you the qualification, the pre-qual letter, and then you can get in the market and you can start looking for properties to buy.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did I explain that? All right. Okay.
100%. For sure. Now, how can you get it really good when it comes to pre-qualification besides having the credit score, some money saved, and having your DTI be around 45% or under? Is there anything is there like a little nugget that you should know before you're getting pre-approved?
No, that's really, there's no, it's hard to buy a house. Like, it's just like I respect people who could buy a house because like I just know what it takes. It's hard, right? So it's like there's no really way around it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know, like it's. I'm trying to think, but it's nice. So you got the VA loan. Like you can do 0% down, and you don't get charged PMI.
Exactly. Yes.
Like I would have been used that, bro.
And I can use that like as many times as I want. I can have multiple ones. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta talk.
Yes,
We
sir.
gotta talk.
We can use
do some deals.
multiple.
We can do some deals.
Yes, sir. I would actually like to talk to you. Actually, that'd be great, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah. So now I want to talk more about like cash flow. I think it was Kevin O'Leary that says, if it doesn't cash flow, just say no. Are you the same when it comes to that?
Absolutely, because sometimes people will buy for appreciation, and that's like there's three ways you're going to make money in real estate, right? You're going to get your appreciation. Appreciation means you buy it for like my one in Salem. I paid like $470, $460 or whatever it was, and now it's worth $750. That appreciated, right? They appreciated what is that, 30 to like two something, right? So now I got the appreciation. Then it was cash flowing me every month. Fun fact: the first rent check I've ever collected from a tenant bounced. Actually, the first two bounced, which was a problem. Quick tip for the landlords out there: you always want to have a joint and severally lease. Fortunately, that's what I had in place. A mentor taught me that joint and severally mean like if all four of us in here are roommates, and we rent from a landlord and we signed a joint and severally lease, that means if Vinny don't pay, we're all on the hook.
Ooh.
All our names could get ruined. All our credits could get ruined.
Damn. Joint and severally lease.
Yeah, if I'm renting in a blue state, got to have joint and severally. everybody's ass is on the line.
That's actually a really good tip.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
so
I know a lot of people who are afraid to invest here in Massachusetts.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, in Ohio or Florida, you don't pay the rent. You show up with a pistol, they better give you money.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the red states don't play. So high accountability. I love it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Me too.
So yeah.
And what about, so I know you don't like single family, you like 2 families, 3 families, quads. I totally agree.
Yeah.
What about commercial?
Hold on, to clarify, the third way you make money, right? Depreciation, the cash flow, and the debt pay down. Every time they pay the rent, you're paying your mortgage down. You're winning in principal there.
Yes.
Your balance is going down. So that's the third way, just for the listeners. Commercial.
Yes.
So what's commercial to you? Because sometimes people there's two definitions. Sometimes people miss each other on the commercial term. What's commercial to you, just so I understand it?
I'm thinking like retail.
Okay, commercial. Okay, yeah, because there's commercial, residential, anything
Yes.
more than 4 units, right?
Yep.
So 5 units or more. Retail. I'm not going to speak on something that I haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I haven't done that. I know some sectors are getting hit right now from COVID, but I my boy, he's a landlord. He rents the Bank of America. He gets 35 G's a month from Bank of America. That's pretty secure. But the thing is, when you're renting to Bank of America, like, you got a tiger by the tail. You're talking about Bank of America. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a cool, sounds cool, but like, how cool is it? And so, they just want to make your life hell with an attorney. You better have deep pockets.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, other than that, I mean, yeah, I've never really touched commercial. I do a lot of student housing right now, and things like that. I've this past year it was, I had this one lady I watched. I've seen good tenants go bad. I had to give this lady $6,000 to get out, and I can speak on that if you want.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah. So she was in my unit for a while. As the young kids say, you fuck around, you find out. And she found out. She had a man that was taking care of her, holding her down, and she messed around on him, and he left, and her finances started to slowly get all bent up, and she was starting to be late on the rent. And then, and she was in real estate, so she knew the game, and she's like, you know what, like, you're stressing me out. I'm also pregnant, by the way, and you're going to cause me to lose my baby because you keep asking me about rent. And I'm like, all right, so I got a crazy on my hands. Let me figure out how I can handle this. A couple ways I can go about this. Right, because so I was like, she's like, we can just let a judge decide, and I'm like, all right, she's paying $2,500 a month, and she was paying 23, but I just rounded up $2,500 a month just for simple numbers. It could take me 6 months to get her out tops, right? So 25, that's 7,500. Now we're at 10. Probably can cost me 15 G's to get her out, pay an attorney another 3, that's 18 G's, or I could just give her 6K, have her out, and have somebody in there within 30 days, and that's what I did. The year before, people are like, oh, that's real estate, da, da, da. It's like, yeah, that's real estate. That property last year alone made me $66,000. Now it made me $60,000. Big deal, and I got somebody new in. You got to look at the pattern. People get so caught up in the day to day, like it's you can't look at business day to day. You got to look at quarter to quarter and year to year. This past year, my portfolio between my Ever property and my Salem property, I had a mice infestation in one of them. I had another thing in another one. But I looked at the data over the last 5 years. It was like $40,000 the property averaged me in income over the course of the 5 years on average, right? But this year I broke even. Well, actually, that's just in cash flow. But there's 3 ways we make money in real estate, right? Cash flow, appreciation, and debt pay down. And the debt pay down, my principal went down across both properties like $15,000, right? So there's $15,000 there I made, and the properties collectively, one's worth $750, the other one's worth about just call it $2 million, so 2.75. So 5% on 2, so that's over 150 G's right there, roughly. No, right around 5% for every million. So 5, 10, right? Or so, yeah, 50,000 for every million. So it's it's about 125,000 right there in appreciation in the debt pay down. But people will get so caught up in the 6 G's you gave. Oh, I don't want to get in real estate now because you had to give somebody 6. Like, listen, if you can't stand the heat, get the hell out the kitchen. Like, it is what it is.
Sometimes you win some, you lose some, but
you live to fight another day.
You live to fight another day. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Now, what about commercial residential? I know you say you have a bunch in Nashville, right?
Yeah. So that Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah, Retreat at Meadowwood. That's the name of the building. It's a bunch of units. I'm just a limited partner in that. What that means is like I was just a silent partner. I just threw them some money. You know, it was a syndicated deal. That's what I've gotten into now, syndications. But there's limited partners, general partners. I was a limited partner in that. Just threw them some dough, and now I just get a check every quarter. It's nice. I
Nice.
like it. Yeah, my boy manages it. He knows what he's doing. He's sharp. He's solid. So
Cool.
yeah.
Now, what about HELOCs? Because you talked about a HELOC earlier. Good idea, bad idea?
Excellent idea. So a bank that I went to, Hanscom, if you live there, if you live in the unit, Hanscom will give you 100% LTV on the property. So I tapped into about 300 G's in that Everett property, took 100 down, bought the Rari, took the other 2, bought some more real estate, threw some into that 72 units down there in Tennessee, right? And that deal was like a 24% cash on cash deal. Like, which was, you know what I mean? That's
really good.
24%. That's 48 grand on 200 G's. That alone right there was paying for the Ferrari insurance and everything. So, but yeah, I like HELOCs. HELOCs, I like them better than a cash out refi because they're faster to close on, and you only get paid. Or I'm sorry, you only have to pay on it if you use it. Right. So if you don't use it, you don't have to pay on it. If you do a cash out refi, you do a whole new mortgage, and then they send you a check. And now the money's just sitting in your bank, but you had to get a higher interest rate, and now you're paying for it. Your mortgage went up. A HELOC, you only pay on it when you use it.
Gotcha. Cool. Now, last question. What is the biggest piece of advice you would give someone starting real estate?
Or anything.
Or anything?
I always tell people, you got to follow through on what you say. Your credibility is everything, right? You have your credit and your credibility, and trust is earned in droplets and lost in buckets. Every time. So easy to lose credibility and trust as soon as you don't follow through on what you say.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just something, and just always just like sacrifice. I didn't even talk about on this, but like I tell people all the time, like, you got to sacrifice for what you want, or what you want will be the sacrifice. And a lot of people just don't want to delay gratification. Like, I mean, I could have bought a Ferrari a couple years ago, or like back in probably, I mean, you know, way back, or not way back. I mean, you know, like my 3rd or 4th year here, but I would have ate my seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to eat the seed. So it's like the more you sacrifice, the easier anything becomes, right? Like, things are already hard. So if you sacrifice more, and typically the more you sacrifice, the more you could work on your skill, and the more skill you have, the more freedom you have, right? Like, people were like, yo, I can't believe, like, when I first got my neck done, they were like, yo, I can't believe you tatted your neck like that. Aren't you worried? I'm like, worried about what? I was like, is somebody not going to do business with me because I have my neck tatted? Like, that sounds like their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
right? Like, it's like, but the more skill you have, the more freedom you have. I'm not saying I'm super skillful, but I put a lot of time into certain things that, okay, so like, let's just wind the clock back. Let's just say, and somebody's like, aren't you worried about like work or job? I'm like, I will never interview for a job again. You know, like, I will never, I just can't work. It's just not in my, like, I have to ask another grown ass man or woman for time off to go see my family or my kids one day. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, that'll never happen for me. Right? Like, that's just, and people probably listening like, oh yeah, you can get a reality show. I'm telling you right now, I would just like, I would start selling something. I'd figure something out. I would start over from scratch. I would just be a 1099, but a 1099 shouldn't be asking other people for time off because they're literally 1099s.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's a trigger for me, as you can tell. But
Follow through.
Follow through.
Awesome.
That's dope, man.
Dude, thank you so much, man. A
Thank
lot
you
of good
guys.
nuggets on this podcast. A lot of
I feel
good
like
nuggets.
I learned a lot, but but the biggest thing for me is that I know that I gotta learn more now.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's wild.
Yeah, I'd
Would-
love to come back another time.
Bro, we
man.
would love
That'd
to
be
have you
dope.
back, man. We would love
be
to have
dope.
you back. But before we end the podcast, I always like to do rapid fire questions with our guests. These rapid fire questions are fun. They're not supposed to be serious. There's a lot of math in them, so get ready to bring out your calculator.
Oh, there was guests tuning in today.
What's up?
There was guest tuning in.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. All right, sweet. Yeah, let's hit it. Let's hit it.
Yeah,
I got my calculator out.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. There's no math. We got asked one time, like, well, who was it? I think it was Mike. It was like, hey, no math. I'm like, okay, no math. And now every time I'm like, there's math.
That's funny. Yeah, what you got?
All right. So, like I said, the rapid fire questions are supposed to be quick. They're supposed to be fun. So, whenever you're ready, you can have your sip of water first, and then we'll get at it.
Let's hit it.
All right. 4 a.m. wake up or 8 a.m. wake up?
8 a.m.
Cool. I know you're big into fitness, so are you a white meat type of guy when you eat or red meat?
I don't discriminate.
I like it. Cool.
If it's organic, I'll eat it.
As long as it's not McDonald's.
Yeah, if I know where it's coming from, I'll eat it.
Cool. What's your favorite day? Push, pull, or legs?
Definitely not legs.
Yes, my guy.
I work out to be healthy, feel fit, and look good for my girl. Like, if she tells me she wants my legs to be bigger, I'll do some more legs. But
Let's hope she doesn't see this podcast.
yeah. That's how I kind of met her. I met her at the gym, and we started.
That's like probably the most ideal way to meet a
Yeah.
girl.
Oh, dude, she's the best. But let's see, push, pull. I mean, yeah, push.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Dave Ramsey or Grant Cardone?
Oh, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
All day,
Was
Grant.
COVID started in China? Grant Cardone.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Who's someone that you would love to partner with in the future when it comes to just anything, business or real estate?
Celebrity or non-celeb?
Both.
Anyone, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, partner with. I would like to do something with my pastor. I just don't know what yet.
Matt Tuning.
Yeah, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know what that would look like or what kind of idea. I never even talked about it. It just came on my mind. But and then on the business side of stuff, probably partner with. Who I'd like to partner with? I would like to partner with like a police organization.
Okay.
I think it's an area that lacks leadership, and I think if they put a more emphasis on emotional intelligence, they would have a better reputation.
100%.
And I back the blue. It's just something I've like. There's bad people in every profession, but there's some people that just that take the badge off, and you shouldn't have a badge on if you can't stay cool under a hot situation. Right,
Yeah.
like, and I wanted to say this earlier, but I didn't get to hit it. But like, it used to be cool. Like, a lot of us grew up in a household where it was cool to lose your temper and raise your voice. Like, that ain't cool in the real world.
Right.
Right. So I'd like to partner with an organization like that and stuff. But and then outside of that, just business wise, I mean, Patrick Bet-David. I mean, when you say partner, it's like, hey, like, who would I want? Who would I? Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Patrick Bet-David, those guys, Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone, I think him and I would butt heads personally, but I like him though. I like him. I love him. But
Yeah, I love him.
yeah, he's in. But these are all guys that I would follow, so I really wouldn't butt heads because I would follow their lead.
Yeah.
Right. They have if you have what I want, I'll follow you off a cliff. Right. So there's no reason for me to actually. So I retract that statement. But yeah, any of those guys.
Okay. Cool. And the last question and the most important question of them all: ass or tits?
Oh my God, that's funny. If you knew my girl, both.
Okay.
There you go.
Both.
Savage.
All right. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. We really appreciate it again. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Do you want to give everyone your socials?
Sure. And when I said both, I just wanted to say this though. Like, I always say ors for the poor.
Ors for the
Ors for the poor.
Yeah, if you have to choose.
Wow.
That's business stands
That's
for
the new motto,
the
bro.
B
Ors
stands for both. I want both. I do what I do so that I could have both. Ors for the poor.
Ors for the poor.
But Instagram is
Poor. Damn.
just Tim Penso, Penso, Tim Penso. Very simple Instagram. I don't have Facebook or anything like that. So
Okay.
cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome.
I
Thank you
appreciate it.
again, man.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, see you then.
We gonna